this is it. The big one. The absolute garbage that will require all my power to destroy. I've already been prepared. I got a Pokeball, a fighting glove, and a sword. But I'm not even sure all of this will be enough to stop this catastrophe. But this is long overdue. Today, we're going to be looking at Thomas All Engines Go. But this is going to require some context, which I am going to provide. This all starts with a show that I remember growing up watching and really enjoying, Thomas and Friends. Now, in case you've been living under a rock for the past 30 years, what is Thomas and Friends? Thomas and Friends was a show about tank engines who would always get into little accidents and trouble and all that stuff and would learn lessons. I completely loved this show as a kid. I collected just about every toy I could find of it. I drew Thomas a lot. I got excited for every yearly movie. But I watched a bunch of other shows around that time too, like Barney or Bob the Builder. But they didn't have quite the same impact that Thomas had on me. What made it so special? What made the show special was the simple philosophy that Thomas's creator, Reverend Wildron Awdry, always withheld. Don't talk down to your audience. He believed that he should be writing his original books for the adults reading it as well as the kids, so that the adults don't have to get tortured. When he partnered with two other people to create the show, this same philosophy was withheld, and that's why I think it stuck with me as long as it did. Another thing that helped Thomas stand out from its competitors was the amount of realism. Well, you know, about as realistic as talking trains can be. But other than the fact that these are talking trains, everything else is played completely realistically, from the train crashes to the way the trains move and all that stuff. Thomas wasn't a show made just for kids, just to keep them entertained for a few seconds and shove morals down their throats. All its messages were implied, but never directly spelled out. With everything I've said, is it any wonder Thomas has an adult fan base? Yes, I'm being 100% serious. Thomas has an adult fan base. In fact, it's even getting a documentary later this year, which I can't wait for. As the show went on, the show became more and more childish, and some people don't appreciate anything past the first 5 seasons. However, I think that post 5 seasons have at least enough of the original Thomas spirit to be more than watchable. However, that all changed during the Miller era, which also happens to be the era I grew up with. This is the name given to the start where Thomas went away from models and became fully CGI. We call it the Miller era because of the writer, Shane Miller. The reason this era is so hated is because they went with the childishness to the max. Misty Island Rescue especially is super childish and ridiculous and one of the worst things to come from Thomas. While I did enjoy this era as a kid, as the era went on, it became more and more childish, and I started to see through it. As a result, I basically outgrew Thomas. Had I stayed for a while, I would have experienced the revival era, as you call it, the Brenner era, which is named after Brenner, who was an editor for a while in some of the better parts of the Miller era, and he is a fan of Thomas, which is why many fans love his work. He basically revitalized the brand, which unfortunately I missed out on. However, maybe it's a good thing I didn't stay, because after the Brenner era, we entered the second dark age, when Mattel bought Hit Entertainment, the company who owns Thomas. This is when everything went downhill as far as it could go downhill. And it all started with Big World, Big Adventures. It was absolutely horrible. Now all the trains have unrealistic movements. They're replacing 2 of the cast with these 2 other girl characters. It was completely horrible. Maybe it's a good thing I missed out on this. Then, after years of not following anything Thomas, one day when I'm in my late teens, I get a notification from one of my favorite YouTubers who covers cartoon news that Thomas is getting a reboot. I took one look at this new picture and I was immediately horrified at what I saw. I was like, Thomas, what did they do to you? What have they done? And that leads us to today. where I have since returned to the Thomas fandom. I rewatched some of the first 5 seasons and fell in love with them. I rewatched some of the other stuff from the movies, and while I can definitely see their problems, I still enjoy them to an extent. Except Missy Island Rescue and Dave the Diesels, those can go in a dumpster fire. The one good thing I can say about All Engines Go is that it brought me back to the Thomas fandom. And as a thank you, I am going to give this the proper roast it deserves. We need to at least do this one. Maybe I'll cover some of the other seasons later, but we gotta get at least this one down. But first, before we get into the review, this weapon stuff is killing me. I need to get this off. Also, full disclosure, I've only watched the first episode because I feel like if you watch the first episode of shows like this, you've kind of seen them all, and also because that was all I could take. First, the intro theme. It didn't take me 1 second, and I already hate this show. The intro is so childish and annoying and stupid and goes against everything Thomas stands for. I've always hated when they gave the theme song lyrics and thought it was a bad decision. I mean, what happened to the da 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 da? The theme song didn't need lyrics. It was absolutely idiotic when they gave it to them. But then that also gets into the animation. It looks fine. I've always been a big fan of 2D animation, but why is it with Thomas? Thomas is a model show for me, and if you can't do models, CGI is the next best thing. 2D animation seems like the worst thing to do with Thomas, but on its own, it's okay. But how are the characters themselves? Man, what did they do with them? The only one who is still even slightly feels like his original counterpart is Gordon. Besides Gordon, every other character has been babyfied. You're a baby, you're a baby, and you're a baby. You're all little kids. You sound like little kids and all of that. Even Diesel, who is supposed to be like this mischievous and evil engine, he sounds like a schoolyard bully. In fact, he doesn't even sound like a schoolyard bully. He sounds like a baby pretending to be a schoolyard bully. What on earth? And then there's the movement. So this makes Big World, Big Adventure look realistic. I mean, look, they're just bouncing off of one track to another. They use their wheels as hands. Like, what on earth? Is this Thomas or Transformers? One scene in the first episode has Thomas run off the tracks, and everyone's like, oh no, we gotta get you off the tracks. Like, you're gonna be late for your delivery. I'm like, does it matter? He can go from one track to another and even drives in the ground. He might as well just be a car. But the writing in this show is the most insulting part. It goes against the very thing that Reverend Wilbur Awdry said from the very beginning when he created Thomas. It talks down to its audience. It gives you a moral that it shoves down your throat, and it makes sure that you know it. This goes against the very thing that this show was made to fight against. This show represents everything wrong with modern day Thomas and Mattel. It goes against everything Reverend Wilbur Awdry built his show around and turns it into the same mindless crap as its competitors like Peppa Pig or Paw Patrol. This might be the worst show I've ever seen of all time. Not just because it's mindless drivel, but because it's mindless drivel based off an intelligent show. If you want to get into Thomas, don't start with this show. I recommend the first 5 seasons as your starting point. They're available for free on YouTube if you want to watch them, and I highly recommend them. But as for this show, it needs the proper punishment. Wait a minute. Mindless dribble? Mattel? Oh my goodness, I know who's to blame. Show yourself!
So, Hyper, you figured it out! Yes! I am the one who created the Thomas reboot.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to allow you to destroy anyone else's childhood ever again.
Well, what are you gonna do about it?
This! Pikachu, I choose you!
No, not Pikachu! Ah!
Good job, Pikachu. We finally got rid of that monster. And it's done. My childhood is safe. Alright. See you guys later. Bye.